our cosmic origins. Located high in the Andes mountain range, the 66 antennas that make up the Atacama Large Millimeter Submillimeter Array, ALMA, are an imposing sight. Under one sky, more than 20 countries embark upon a scientific endeavor that can only be realized through collaboration. North America, Europe, East Asia, and Chile work together to answer humankind's fundamental questions. Northern Chile was chosen as the site for ALMA because the Atacama Desert is the driest in the world. Its atmosphere, almost devoid of water vapor, enables detection of some of the faintest signals from the universe. Over 16,500 feet above sea level and covering distances of up to 10 miles of the Chajnantor Plateau, the ALMA antennas work as a single large telescope. A supercomputer combines and synchronizes all of their signals in real time. Thanks to this engineering and scientific feat, we're learning about the cold universe, the secrets of planet formation, and the chemical elements that constitute the building blocks of life. Professionals from around the world work for ALMA, pushing the limits of knowledge every day. In Chile, about 50 staff members are based in Santiago, while another 200 work in shifts at the Operations Support Facility close to the town of San Pedro de Atacama. Most of the staff works in the offices, laboratories, and antenna control room of this facility at an altitude of 9,500 feet. Others ascend to the Chajnantor Plateau at 16,500 feet to maintain and relocate the antennas, among other tasks. Strict safety protocols are crucial under these conditions. Thanks to leisure and residential facilities, staff can lead a healthy lifestyle, playing sports and games, watching movies, enjoying nutritious meals, and resting in comfort. ALMA plays a key role in global astronomical efforts. Along with other radio telescopes, it allowed the first image of a black hole to be captured. Without ALMA, that goal would have been unattainable. The Chilean astronomical community actively participates in ALMA research and discoveries, using its 10% of observing time. The radio telescope also contributes to workforce development and supports national and regional scientific, technological, and outreach projects. An example of the latter are the thousands of visitors who tour the facilities each year. ALMA respects the local Licanantay or Atacameño indigenous culture, supporting educational and other projects in the town of Toconao and San Pedro de Atacama, preserving archaeological heritage sites, and protecting the unique flora and fauna of the region, to name a few initiatives. Mirroring the antennas that work in unison with one goal, under the same sky, the international collaboration that ALMA embodies continues the search of our cosmic origins.
Hi everyone, welcome to another virtual tour or virtual talk that we're having today. My name is Thais Mandiola, I'm a visitor coordinator at the observatory, and thank you very much for joining. Today we're going to talk about how to get the observing time in ALMA. How is all this process? Before we begin though, it's important that we clarify that at this time and almost 2 years now, visitors to the observatories are not allowed yet due to the pandemic. Hopefully, we will be opening soon. You can keep in touch and having all this news on our website and our social media so you can update on the state, okay? About today's topic, about 10% of the observing time is allocated to the host country, in this case Chile, and 90% of the partners according to their financial contribution to ALMA. But ALMA partners contribute observing time called open skies, so that any astronomer, regardless of their affiliation, can apply for ALMA time. Another important aspect is that ALMA is designed to provide calibrated data to its users. Therefore, even non-experts can use ALMA. So let me introduce you to the people that know much about all this subject. And will be for this guest today, Andrea Corbilion. He's head of the proposal management team. And David Rebolledo, he's a science operation astronomer who has been involved also in the proposals management. Hi, Andrea, how are you?
Hi, good, and you? Thank you.
Thanks for being here. So David is a little bit late. He will be joining us in a few minutes. So we can start with you, Andrea. First of all, if you can tell us a little bit of your journey to get to ALMA. What did you study? How was all the process to find ALMA?
Well, I did a bachelor in astronomy
Mhm.
at Universidad Católica, and then I did a master's degree in there too. After that master degree, I started to look for a job, and I got in ALMA, and I have been here since then. It has been in one place, but it has been a great journey to be here.
Perfect. And about your position, what will be your duties? What is that you do specifically of
Well,
this title that I yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm in charge of all the proposals that are presented at ALMA.
Mhm.
Each cycle or each year, we open or we inform the community that we have a certain amount of hours available for observations. So the astronomers start to send us their projects. We obviously we accept the projects over a certain period of time,
Mhm.
and this is what we call the proposals, their projects. And once we get all the projects during that period, we ask other astronomers to review those projects and let us know if the science that the people are requesting is compelling, is not compelling, is interested for the observatory to do, and all that interaction with the astronomers who review this proposal is done by the proposal handling team, which is my team. And yeah, at some point we had a meeting with a group of people who got together and reviewed the proposals. So we were in charge of organizing that meeting. That is not the case anymore. We have another review process in place. So basically, we handle the proposals, and once they are reviewed and the astronomers tell us how the science is, um, we we either accept the proposals to be observed or not, and we inform the primary investigator or the principal investigator if the proposal will be observed and will become a project or not.
Okay, great. So, well, the first question that we'll be doing is actually more about how does ALMA decide which projects to observe each year? Oh, how is this working?
Well, that's it's a mixture of a few things to
Mhm.
say it easily. Uh, on one side, we have the scientific aspect of the proposal, and that is what the astronomers outside ARMA review. Uh, with that, we have or we create a ranked list based on the science of the proposal. And that is one of the aspects that we take into consideration to decide if a proposal is either accepted or not. Uh, we run what we call the scheduling exercise, which is basically creating or making the mock-up of how the proposals based on uh, the setup that they are requesting, the place on the sky that they want to observe, the weather condition that they require to get to the information that they or what they need to. We do a simulation of all this, and based on that, a percentage of the probability of that proposal to be observed is created, and based on that and the scientific ranking and also the chair that each ALMA partner has, we construct or we decide which proposal is accepted or rejected. Because, for instance, as you mentioned, Chile has 10% of the time dedicated to Chilean proposals, as do Europe or ESO partners, North America and East Asia. So if we have a very highly ranked European proposal, for example, but the European chair is already filled with European proposals, that highly ranked European proposal is not accepted even when it's highly ranked, for example. And in and so there are these other criteria like the weather condition that it requires, the setup, the configuration of the antennas. David also knows a lot about it because
Yes.
he's
Hola,
also part
David.
of
Hi,
the.
David. Welcome. How are you?
Hello, sorry for connecting late. I was in another meeting, but now I'm yours.
Yes, thank you. So Andrea was telling us about how is the process or how ALMA decides how to observe um, each scientific proposal. So when does this happen every year? If you can tell us like the range of dates that will be happening this year, if it's happening now.
So you're talking about the when we generate the queue of observations, Andrea? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, we were talking about the observing queue, but
Okay.
the whole process,
Yes.
yeah, that's one of the latest part of the
Really,
process.
yes.
Yeah.
How do you decide?
Yes. Well, the process starts. Probably Andrea already mentioned when we there is a revision of the proposal with in the community, and after the each proposal is assigned a rank based on science
Yes.
merit. We got that list from all the proposals, and we have an algorithm that take in consideration the ranking of the different proposals and also the constraints that we have in the observatory, observational constraints, limits that we have for a single time of the year, because the time available for observations depends on the weather conditions, depends on the limits that we set. Because, for example, we have engineering time, we have computing time where the observatory is not available. So all that is taken into account, and this algorithm was basically putting the proposals in a queue. Like this is first, this is second, this is the third, based on these constraints, and at the end we generate a proposed list of projects with assigned grades. We assign grades to the proposals based on the time available. More or less one third of the projects, the top projects, are grade A, so that means that they have high priority to be observed during a given time. And the other two-thirds are assigned grade B, which is the second level of priority. And we also assign grade C projects, which are we call the fillers. And those are projects that are in the queue, but they have the lowest priority. If there is going to be some time available in the future, because we are super efficient and we observe all the grade A and grade B projects, we use the grade C in order to fill those gaps. And those are grade C. And that's more or less a structure that we create, and that happens after Andrea provide us with the rankings, and we run all this and check. And we propose this list to the management of the observatory, and this is passed along all the executives, the European, NRAO, and East Asia, and the Chilean also executive, and they make a revision of this proposed queue, and when that is accepted, they give this back to Andrea, and Andrea send the email with the notification to the PIs with the information if they get the time or they didn't.
Yeah.
More or less. That's kind of a super short version of this. It's more complicated
Yeah.
than that, but that's what we do.
And how about the schedule, like the dates and when it's opening during the year, the time for submitting the proposals, and then the observing time when it starts? If you can talk a little bit about that. And it would be interesting of knowing the different cycles, because ALMA has different stages, we would say, of science, no? So if you can dive into that information so people can understand more about that.
I can give an overview of the timeline. In fact,
Yeah.
right now we are in the call for proposals, which is
Mhm.
the period in which the investigators submit their projects. And this is run on 1 month. Usually it starts on mid March and ends on mid end of April. That, of course, the exact date depends on year to year, but that's the regular period of time on which we are open to receive these projects.
Yeah.
After that, we start the review process that can take around 2 months. We also taking into account the queue building, and we release the results to the PIs around end of July, beginning of August. So, and that's where the second part of the process starts, where the astronomers here in ALMA start to prepare all the projects that are accepted to be observed in October, which is the time on which the observations start.
Mhm. And now we're beginning a new cycle in October. Will be, if you can tell me, is it 8?
Yeah, it will be. I'm
Cycle
sorry,
nine.
you cut for a
Cycle,
minute.
yeah.
Cycle
Cycle
9.
9. Yes. Now
Okay.
we are now in cycle 8, and in
Mhm.
October we will start cycle 9.
Mhm. And how many proposals do you get, like in the past year? How many will be it? I think we lost Andrea, no?
Yes, I think she's
You can
frozen.
tell me,
Yeah, I can, I
David.
can, I can say that. Yes. We roughly get between 1400 and 1700,
Wow.
a little bit more than that. So it's yes, it's over, it's almost yes, more or less.
Okay.
And it changed every year slightly. Last year I think we got over 1700, more or less. And
And
the
from that, how many do you get to observe?
the acceptance rate, well, Andrea knows better these numbers, but it's usually the what depends. This is a more technical question, because um, uh, we have different executives. We have ALMA is formed by five executives. Well, four in total. Three, which is the European, North American, and East Asia, and Chile. And
Mhm.
they have assigned different times
Yeah.
for the different executives. So the total number of accepted proposals for each executive changes a little bit depending on the available time that we assign to them, because there is a fraction of time assigned for different executives. But now Andres back, so she has the best
Yeah.
answer. So Taib was asking how many proposals are accepted every cycle compared to the
How
total
many do we
request.
get? And then how many are actually,
Yeah,
being
and I was
observed?
yeah, and I was talking a little bit about the executive, but probably you have more numbers to add.
Yeah, well, we receive around, our numbers now are around 1,700 to 1,800 proposals each cycle, give or take a little bit. And we are finally accepting around, um, um, I forget the full number, but around, I'm trying to remember, maybe around 300 or so. But the thing is that, well, as David may have mentioned, we we base everything on times. So we have a certain amount of time that we offer, and depending on the size of the proposal that we are accepted, can be more or less. But
So this
yeah,
time given has been increasing since cycle 0 every year, isn't it?
yeah, it has increased. It got steady at some point, and last year it increased. I forgot the percentage, but increased by a good fraction. In fact, that made us, or that generated that we finally accepted less proposals last year that we usually accepted on previous cycles, because the proposals that we were accepted were requesting more time than usual. Usually we had an average of the proposals that were submitted of 5 hours, and that average time increased. Again, I don't remember well the factor, but it was by a good amount of time. So this cycle we were accepting less proposals, sorry, in cycle 8 we accepted less proposals than in other cycles.
Okay. And how many people are involved in all this process? Because it's not only from here, no, it's from all over the world that people gathered. I heard that the past years you get together in a country and have weeks of working. So if you can tell us a little bit of that experience, how it works and how it's now.
Okay, well, up until cycle 7, all the review process was done through a panel of astronomers that we invited to participate, and they got together and read the proposals. And back then, the last on cycle 7, we invited around 150 panelists. We were around 200 people working on that. They, on a first stage, they reviewed the proposals independently, and on a second stage, we got together in a hotel where they had individual meetings to review all the proposals, and then they decided, or they ranked the proposals in their panels.
From that would be the moment that is being ranked, no?
Yeah, that's where the proposals were ranked. And yeah, that was around 200 people, as I mentioned, including the supporting staff that we were there helping on that. And the workload for all the people who participated in that was very high. So, in the period of 1 month or 1 month and a half that they had to review the proposal, they had to read 100 proposals sometimes, or even more, with a mean of 70 proposals per period. And that is a lot of proposals to review in 1 month. So in cycle 8, we implemented what is called distributed peer review process, on which each proposer team designates one person who will act as reviewer, and that person receives 10 other proposals that are submitted in the cycle to review. So that way, the workload is kept to a number that we decided, which is 10 proposals, and it gets balanced with all the proposals that are submitted, because for each proposal that is submitted, we have one person who will be reviewing other proposals. So in that case, we had over 1,000 people participating in the distributed peer review in cycle 8. In cycle 9, we will also use that system to review the proposals, except for the large programs, which are projects that are requesting many hours, more than 50 hours in the 12-meter array, or more than 150 hours on the ACA array. And those proposals are still reviewed by a single panel, which in last cycle, I think we were 50 people participating on it, and this cycle we will around 20. But it's the group of people who is participating on the review process is getting bigger, but that is allowing us to manage the workload, which was very high up until cycle 7.
Okay. And how about the second stage of this, when they are accepted? How does it work, the time for observing? If you can talk us through those steps for the final that the astronomer will get this data. So if you can tell us how it works, please.
David, maybe you have more detail about that?
Yes, I can comment on that. Well, once everything is the queue is done, and the PIs knows if the proposal was accepted, start a process in the observatory to get the observations ready before the start of the cycle, which is the 1st of October every year. And there is some interaction with the proposers in order to get the the project ready into the system of the observatory. In the past, they needed to do some checks into the observing tool, which is the software that they have to download in the process of the proposal phase. And in the previous year, they need kind of do it again once the proposal is accepted. Now that step is not required, and after they get the email saying that they have the proposal accepted, they have to wait for some communication with the observatory, but they in principle they don't need to do anything else, but should wait. And for some specific project that require a special technical requirements like high frequency or long baseline, they will need to do something else if they observe the proposers, because there's kind of a special project. They're more complicated to calibrate, etc. So there's kind of minor project, but the vast majority of projects are simple to run for the observatory. So they just go ahead and put the project in ready state. After the switch of cycle, which is the 1st of October, the observatory has to prepare everything to have everything ready. And that's a lot of work, because we have, as recheck the project, that everything is in good state. And the 1st of October, we switch the cycle, we switch the software usually, because every cycle there is a new software that has to be implemented. So there's kind of software checks through the year. And we start running the projects. And because it's dynamic, ALMA is a dynamic observatory. We don't know exactly when the project. We have an approximation when a project might be run, but we don't know exactly when. So once the project is executed and is triggered, the observations starts. The PI, the proposer, gets an email saying, "Hey, your project was started today," and they will receive some updates as the project continue. The observation of the project is continued. And that happens at the end. Once the project is finished, they get another email say, "Hey, your project is finished," and the data is delivered to the PI weeks after, depending on the type of project. Usually before a month, the data should be ready to be downloaded by the PIs. And for the more complicated project that requires special calibration, they may take longer. But the DMG, which is the department in charge of the calibration and is in charge of delivering the data, works very hard to get the data ready for the PI as soon as possible. So those times are getting shorter and shorter in time compared to what happened in the previous cycle. So though they are improving their processes in order to get the data as soon as possible in the hands of the proposers. So that's a good thing. So that's more or less what happens. We have different configurations across the year. So the PIs knows which configuration the project has requested, so they know more or less when the project might be run. and every site, every array configuration lasts for about 20 between 20 and 25 days, so they know more or less when the project might be run, but there is no exact date when the project is going to be run in the queue. So they just want to sit and wait and get the data delivered.
So during that same year that they propose is that they will receive that data.
In principle, yes.
Yeah? Wow, that's
Yes.
great. And what happens once they have the data and they publish? How's the agreement with ALMA of this information?
Well, the once the data is delivered, they have what we call 1 year proprietary time, which
Mhm.
means that that astronomer who proposed has the priority to download the data, and they have 1 year to publish. And so no one else is going to be able to download the data from the archive, which is a public site. After 1 year, the data becomes public automatically, so everyone else can actually download the data and publish science with it. So they have 1 year to publish, and special agreements are, I probably Andrea can correct me, but for example, for the large programs are these special big projects that are requesting more than 150 hours from the 12 meter array antennas, and more than no more, sorry, more than 50 hours for the 12 meter, and more than 150 for the ACA, which is the more compact array. um, and they have to provide a data processing plan to the observatory. Say, hey, we are getting a lot of data from ALMA, and we are planning to do these things with ALMA this data, because it's a lot of time that ALMA is going to provide to the team. So they need to make sure that the observatory is convinced that they have a good plan to process the data and to deliver the data to the community. So
Right.
it's like an agreement. Alma is saying, okay, I'm going to give you a ton of time so you can do the science, but you have to promise me that you will, process the data and have a good way to the community to access the data after you have processed these things, and data products and things that the community may need in the future. So that's
So
that's
for the
the part.
public, it will be accessible for everyone to get the data from all the observations of ALMA, no? If a radio
In the,
astronomer is interested in others, they can access to this information.
yes, after 1 year, yes, it's
Mhm.
public to everyone.
Wow. And how is all this data stored?
Well, we have servers that once the data is observed at the site, all the
Mhm.
data is transferred to Santiago. We have computers in Santiago, and that data is replicated into different data servers in the three arcs, in East Asia, North America, and Europe. So we have like a mirror sites with the data, so you can actually go to the portal, to archive portals at the NRIO in North America, and ESO in Europe, and East Asia in Japan. So you have three ways to access the data, and those are stored in computers there, and they should be there forever, as we have the alpha.
Mhm. And for the astronomer that will be downloading the data, is it possible when it's like, because I've heard that they're quite heavy, no?
Yes, they are quite heavy. There are different ways to download. Actually, yesterday I was downloading a very heavy data.
Mhm.
You have two ways to do it. You can download a script that you can run in your computer, and automatically it's going to get the list of uh, of data. You go to the Alma archive and you select what you want, and this is going to generate that option is going to generate a script that you can run your computer, and it's going to go to the server and download the data for you. The data, the size of the data changes depending on the type of observation. You may have, a couple of gigabytes to, probably close to 100 gigabytes. So there are some software that actually help that you can install in your computer and can split the data in chunks, and you can download chunks and chunks if your connection is too is too slow, that you don't have to, if it's broken you have to start again. No, you can download by chunks. And actually that's something I needed to do yesterday to download my data, because it was super heavy. So I installed a third party software. It's not provided by Alma, it's a different one. And you can start downloading and wait. I wait for a couple of hours to get the data downloaded. But yes, depending on the size of the data, you may wait a little bit longer. But that's the beauty of Alma. You have very good data, so that good data is
Yeah.
is expensive. Yeah.
And how much data is it daily observed? Do you know how much will be about, like approximately?
Oof, that's a good question. I
Yes.
don't have a number, but in a regular day without too much problems, we might be executing um how many projects per day. I will say this is risky. It's a risky number, but
I've heard it's around 1 tera.
20, yeah, 20,
Yeah.
20 projects could be running the 12 baseline. So several terabytes. I will say per day.
Oh yeah, plenty. Um, what is the case in the case? Sorry, that there's an urgent or high priority observation that out of the blue, something and somebody wants to observe. What happens in that case? Is there any time allocated for that?
Yeah, in fact, we have what we call the uh, DDT, the director discretionary time, which is
Hmm.
a portion of the time that we have available to observe, on which the ALMA director decides which project is observed or not. And for that, basically, once this observation cycle starts, which is in October 1st, we open this possibility to request these DDT proposals, on which, of course, if there is an unexpected astronomical event that needs to be observed, an investigator can request to observe that event, or if while they were analyzing their data, they identify something very unusual and they really need to observe the object again, for example, they can also request this discretionary time. So that is submitted through the AMOTIAS as it is done for the regular call for proposals. And those projects are reviewed by a standard um, by a committee, which has members for each one of our regions from Europe, North America, Chile, and East Asia. They review the proposals and they provide a comment for the director. The director takes this information into account. He also reads the proposal and finally decides if the proposal is accepted or not. And once that is done, how quickly that proposal is observed depends on how urgent it is. Sometimes it can be observed from one day to the other, depending if it is really, really urgent, or it can be observed in a couple of weeks after it is accepted.
Great. And has this happened since you've been in Alma? Have you heard about
Yeah,
this happening?
yeah, I remember one proposal. I do not remember the object of the proposal, but it was submitted on a Friday to say it was in a weird day, and
Mhm.
it really had to be accepted by the very next day because what
Wow.
the investigator wanted to observe was occurring that weekend, for example. So the proposal was submitted, was quickly accepted, and then it went through to the queue right away.
Wow. Great. Well, going back to the cycles, let me know if I'm wrong about this, but there are different capabilities every year, no, in each cycle. And are they also different objectives, scientific objectives for each cycle? If you can talk us through this.
Andrea?
For
Well,
this case, for the actual one, for the The one that where now there are new capabilities for the one that's just open, no?
Yes, every cycle there is some variations regarding the capabilities offered. Usually, the observatory is offering new capabilities that in the past we didn't. This cycle, there is more high band observations for some configuration that in the past we didn't offer. Over the last few cycles, also we have been improving the capabilities for polarization observation. For example, for people interested in magnetic fields, in the past it was more or less restricted, but now because of observatory is producing internally new modes of observations, the polarization now is becoming more and more available with different modes of observations. But also, for example, from cycle to cycle, we are not offering the longest baselines. With the observatory, the antennas are located at the most distance, at the largest distance. In cycle 8, we didn't offer the longest one, which was one configuration 9 and 10. But for cycle 9, we are going to offer this, but it's not gonna be offered on cycle 10. It's going to be back in cycle 11. So we are removing the longest baselines from one cycle to the other one because of the expansion and to optimize the movement of the antenna. So that's required to not offering the longest baseline every 2 cycles. So that's why we do a lot of work before the color proposal to host workshops, to host webinars, to explain what is going to be offered in the new cycle. Um, all the arts usually deliver tons of information to the community to say, hey, this cycle we are going to offer in this, we are not going to offer this. Make sure that your science and your proposal is good for what is going to be offered or not, and be prepared for what's coming for the next cycle. So ALMA spends a lot of resources to reach the community and explain better what could be done, can be done, or what is not possible to do.
Mhm. Yeah, and what you know also that there is an increase of the amount of antennas that's given for each cycle. So when we started in cycle 0, there were about 16 antennas that were given for observing time. Minimum, no? If we have more, it would be great. But cycle 1, 43 antennas. Then cycle 2, there were 45 antennas. Cycle 3, 48. And then, yeah, now up to 63 antennas. No, 53, sorry. 53 antennas. So that's interesting because it's giving more information, no? For more data for the astronomer with more antennas, isn't it?
Yes. The number of antennas have been increasing with time. Now as you said, we offer a minimum amount of antennas for the observations. For the 12 meter array, which is the main one, is 43. So we make our effort to observe at least with 43 antennas. And for the compact array, which is the 7 meter array, is 10 of a total of 12. So the engineering team works super hard every day to deliver to the science team all the antennas required to do science. Because if we don't have the enough antennas, we can observe, and if we have fantastic time to doing high frequency, for example, that's super sad because we have super good sky, but we don't have all the antennas that we need. So the engineering team is usually working super hard to prevent that to happen.
Definitely. So I'm going to read some of the comments that we have. You're saying hi from Italy, from Switzerland. We have a question here that are the configurations delivering for several projects in parallel or for every in parallel for every setup? Do I read it again? Sorry.
Yes, please, again.
Are configurations delivering for several projects in parallel for every setup? That's the question.
I don't know if I understood the question, but ALMA is a three telescope in one. So as we have been repeating, we have the main array with the 12-meter antennas, which is the array that expand and collapse and get it compact. And that runs independently from the compact array, who has the 7-meter antennas, and both can be run at the same time and observing different projects. They don't have to be observing the same project. And also we have the antennas, the 12-meter antenna that works as a single dish. So single dish is antennas that they don't do interferometry. They just observe as a single antennas. We have 4 of them, and also they can be observing another project, which is not the same as the ACA 7-meter and the 12-meter. So we have 3 arrays running at the same time, observing uh, different projects. Some projects require that the observations has to be in parallel at the same time. So for those projects, we have to stop what is doing the other project, the other array, and we need to run the same project in both array at the same time. For some science cases, they need both observing the same object at the same time. There are some projects like that, and we need to take the proper measurements to run those projects simultaneously. Uh, but the 3 arrays, in principle, they work independently from each other, so they can be doing other science, not the same project. I don't know if that answered the question.
I think so. Yeah, you did. Yeah. So we have another question here. Which are the resource links of the data mirrors? Are they open to the public domain?
Yes, they are in the science portal for each executive. So you go to the science portal from NRIO or to the ISO or to the East Asia, and they have a link to the data archive, and anyone actually can go. There is no need for passport. There is no need for identification. Anyone can go there and look for science observations and download the data.
Great. We don't have any other comments from Facebook or the other social media. So I don't know if there's anything that you would like to say about this subject that we're missing to round up.
Oh, I think that we've covered almost everything, but mainly that ALMA is open for the community. We accept projects from all the regions, all the countries. So all astronomers are invited to propose their projects to ALMA and to present what they want to observe and investigate with, with us.
Definitely. Yeah, we leave the invitation open for everyone. So, well, thank you very much, Andrea and David, for this great virtual tour they've had and understanding more about all this process for the proposal time. And yeah, we leave the invitation for the astronomers or the people that are passionate of astronomy if they can try on just getting some time in ALMA for this
Yeah,
occasion.
and just remember the people connected and everyone that using Alma is free. You have
Exactly. Yeah.
the only payment that you have to provide is a good science idea, and if the good science idea is
I think.
is spectacular and is good, we are going to observe it and give you the data.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ciao, ciao. Thank you for
Thank
watching.
you.